Hey everybody, welcome to another comic book review. In this video I'll be talking about Superman Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow by Alan Moore and Curt Swan. Alan Moore is an author that I have covered in the past on this channel, and he's one that I have a lot of respect for. He's made some of the best comic book stories of all time. Watchmen, V for Vendetta, his run on Swamp Thing is incredible. But this was kind of in the middle when he was finishing up his run on Swamp Thing and still working on Watchmen as well. And it's sort of an imaginary story in the Superman universe. It's basically the last issue. It's not really the last Superman issue, but it kind of signified the end of an era for Superman and the beginning of a new one. So this is basically Superman has died, and Lois Lane, who is now married, and she goes by Lois Elliott now. She is being interviewed by a reporter from the Daily Planet about Superman and kind of the things that were happening leading up to Superman's death. So you get a lot of different moments where Superman is trying to face off against different villains who are acting far more malicious than they usually do. So he goes up against Bizarro, and Bizarro ends up dead, and he goes up against the Toy Man and the Prankster, who are killing people, which is something that they normally don't do. And Brainiac and Lex Luthor get involved as well. And so, like, all of his main villains, all of Superman's main enemies, are acting far more aggressively than they usually do. And what ends up happening is a lot of them come to the Fortress of Solitude. A lot of Superman's friends end up dead. And it's this whole big thing. And at the end of it, he ends up facing off against Mr. Mxyzptlk, who basically turns into like this giant like creature sort of thing. And it's really cool. But anyway, the story is kind of all about like Superman's death and how things kind of led up to his death and what's going to happen from there on. I will say this particular story has an incredible ending that I really, really love, and it has some implications for the future that I thought were really, really cool. This book also contains a couple other stories. So this is like a one-shot story of Superman and Swamp Thing that's written by Alan Moore. It's called The Jungle Line. And basically Superman comes in contact with this otherworldly plant that starts feeding off of his powers and draining them from him. And he is kind of starting to go insane. And so he, by chance, runs into Swamp Thing, and Swamp Thing has to try and figure out a way to kind of put Superman back to his original state and kind of bond him with the Green and get him to a point where he's like able to function as Superman again. It's a simple story, but it's also very cool. And it plays on a lot of like the horror elements of Alan Moore's run on Swamp Thing, and it adds Superman in there as well, which I think is really great. And then this final story that's included here is from an annual Superman comic, and the art is done by Dave Gibbons, who also worked with Alan Moore on Watchmen. And this basically tells the story of it's Superman's birthday, and a bunch of his superhero colleagues, Batman, Robin, Wonder Woman, they're all coming out to the Fortress of Solitude in order to wish him a happy birthday, only to find that he's been infected by like this plant thing that was given to him supposedly as a birthday gift. But as the story goes on, you learn that that's not the case. And basically this plant kind of taps into like the deepest desires of whoever it's attached to. And so some really fun stuff is done with that, and it's like a whole big thing, like trying to get this plant like out of Superman so that he can celebrate his birthday, and they have to fight, Batman and Robin and Wonder Woman have to fight whoever gave Superman this plant in order to save Superman, so that he's not like permanently frozen in this state where he's unable to fight back. So that's a fun story. I do think the best one in here is the title story, Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow. But because it's so short, and this book is very thin, they had to include some like supplemental material as well. So out of the ones that are in this book, Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow is the best one. I think it's a great Superman story. And normally I'm not a huge fan of Superman. I much prefer Batman. I much prefer like darker, grittier superhero stories. But Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow is kind of Alan Moore doing what he does best as a storyteller, while also paying tribute to a whole legacy of Superman comics, and kind of ending one era of Superman comics while giving birth to another era. So it's really cool. It's a great little send-off story. And like I said, I do think that it has a fantastic ending as well. So those are my thoughts on Superman Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow. Thank you, as always, for watching. Look forward to more videos in the future, and have a great day.